Hey there, friends, and thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Tony Berardo, and as always, I'm here with my beautiful wife, Brenda. Hello.
Hello. If y'all didn't know, we started a business called MeetCute Box, where we'll send you and your partner a curated date night box every month full of items only from local businesses around the world.
That's right. But on this podcast, we're going to research some relationship advice, give out date night ideas, and much, much more.
Thanks for joining us, and hope you'll tell a friend and subscribe.
Well, let's get started, shall we, babe?
Let's.
So, hi, it's Betsie, right?
Yes.
Betsie, very good to finally meet you virtually. Or do
I
you
have
want
a
me
list
to?
of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just kind of bounce off of each other. It doesn't
Sure.
have to be super structured unless you like structured.
No, I actually prefer unstructured. Unstructured, crazy, non-scripted, fun podcasts. That's what I do.
That works. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for talking with me. And it's exciting to join you on this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks. Thanks for the time. It's President's Day. I didn't even realize, but most people are off today, so hopefully it wasn't bothering you too much for today.
I'm a big President's Day celebrator. Have parties planned. I go to Party City and get every President's Day thing they have. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Most people do. So I just wanted to throw it out there. So sorry if you're missing those cool presidents' parties. So So tell me a little bit about Hallmark Happenings. Walk me through kind of how it came to be, and what you're currently doing, what some goals are.
Well, Hallmark Channel has a big following, and I created Hallmark Happenings. However, the word Hallmark has its own meaning, like a special moment in time. So it's kind of like double. It can reflect, Hallmark Channel, but also special things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's just Hallmark Happenings, and I chose the name for pure alliteration purposes because I like alliteration. I just love rom-coms are great, and they make like 40 movies a year, and then I branch out on other networks, and I've talked to some directors for feature films that were in theaters, which was super cool. I love when I get to go outside of made-for-TV movies, so that's always fun.
Cool.
No, it's just a fun place to chat with creators and screenwriters, actors, all that good stuff, and celebrate rom-coms and the meet cute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's kind of the reason we started our businesses. The wife in particular, more so than me, is a big fan of rom-coms. In fact, hey, hold on one sec. I'm gonna pause here because I don't know if you could tell this little light is from my fan, and it is bothering the hell out of me. So I'm gonna turn that off. Hold on. Oh yeah, see, that's way better. Okay, now I can focus.
Easy fix.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of how we started. She's a big fan. I am not. I'm not knowledgeable on the subject. I am now that I'm married to her. But yeah, originally I was not a fan of rom-coms. But there's one every 2 weeks that gets put out on streaming services and movies. So you gotta be up with the times for rom-coms. So
That's true. However, I feel like with the best rom-coms, they're more comedy than romance, and they don't really make those much. And really, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years now, it feels like they haven't made many of those. So the best ones, not that all the new ones aren't great and good, but the best ones are the classics from the early 2000s and prior.
that's right. Do you have a favorite that stands out, or is there too many?
I was thinking about this earlier. I love Runaway Bride. I think Gary Marshall's just a comedic genius, and 13 Going on 30 is really fun. But those are heavier in the comedy, so I don't know. Right. You have to have the right balance. I listened to a couple of your other podcasts. I heard you say The Proposal, which was one of the last rom-coms made. I feel like the last great theatrical releases. So good choice.
Thanks. Yeah, so true. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Obviously, anything with Ryan Reynolds is pure gold. But just the build up there, the character arcs that they go through. It's that kind of cool story that you don't really see a whole lot, which is I feel like it's kind of going against all rom-coms, which is these two people that hate each other, but they're stuck and they have to kind of make it work. And then, of course, we know that they're going to fall in love, right? Because that's, it's a rom-com. But just the arcs that they go throughout the movie is fascinating because, Ryan Reynolds is, worrying about like his family. He's trying to be, good enough to do his own thing. He wants to kind of separate from that. And then Sandra Bullock is like the structured, well-rounded. There's two totally different people. And then the fact that they end up falling in love at the end and the entire time is just nonstop comedy. You forget that it is a rom-com until the end, the last like 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, so this was a rom-com. All right, good to know. So there's not a whole lot of movies like that anymore.
True.
Yeah.
No, I will talk really quickly. A couple of moments that I always think of, and I'm sure you have your favorite moments from the proposal. I love the tribal dance scene with Betty White. It's so fun. I can watch that on YouTube all day long. And then the other, when they're talking about, when they're like, well, tell us about the engagement. How did he propose? And they're just going back and forth. And it's just so funny. Do you have a favorite moment from that movie?
Yeah, the engagement story is the best, I think, because just mainly Ryan Reynolds. Because he'll tell the story and then Sandra Bullock kind of interrupts, and then just his facial expressions. He's so good at not just character acting, but just you could see his emotion like deep down to his core just from like one look. And he gives those looks back and forth when she's, that kind of like when she's like, oh, and he did this, and he goes, oh, did I? Like he does that. And that to me is like that back and forth is great. But I also love, it's a very quick scene, but when she's on the phone and the bird tries to snatch the dog. That's fantastic too. Because it's only about 30 seconds, but I could watch like an entire movie just on that. It's so funny. But there's a lot of good ones. That's a great movie though, for sure.
Yeah, she's just holding the dog up, like, take the dog, give me my phone back. See the comedy. But yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it is rare. I mean, we tried watching what was just on Netflix with Ashton Kutcher and Renee, was it Renee or Reese Witherspoon? That's what it was. Those two. Did you watch that one? I think it was like Not Home Yet or My Home or Yours or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, don't watch it. Yeah, it was just pointless. So yeah, it was. You look at like Reese Witherspoon, you're like, oh, she's the rom-com queen. Like she's gonna crush it. No, it was not funny at all. It was trying to be too romantic. And, there's even a movie called Meet Cute with Pete Davidson and what's her name from Flight Attendant. And I watched that, and it obviously wasn't what I thought it was going to be. There were some funny moments in it, but it just wasn't comedy heavy. It was like trying so hard. And sometimes like the best rom-coms to me are like Knocked Up is a really great example. Where, again, it's kind of like the proposal where it's not really what you expect. It's two people that aren't really meant to be together. And then there's all of these shenanigans for an hour and a half. And then at the end, they fall in love. Like, I don't want an hour and a half of you falling in love. I want a lot of comedy. And then at the end, get together. That's fine. Or like, This Is 40, which is kind of like the spinoff of Knocked Up. That's a great rom-com because, there's a lot of different stories in there. But, it's unfortunate, I think, with movies as a whole. There's just not a lot of good ones. I even saw You People on Netflix. Ugh. That was just disappointing. So not even is there no rom-coms that are good, out there now. But even these rom-coms, now they have to actually like CGI kisses in there. Did you hear they did that at the end of You People?
No, why was it COVID or something?
I don't know what it was, but they had to CGI it at the end, which was very, very odd. So who knows?
That is odd. Who knows?
Yeah.
We can go on a deep dive about movies for the longest time. I mean, I tell you what, there's so much to talk about. But I guess I have a question for you. So, well, one can for my listeners and everything. Do you want to like tell everyone what exactly like MeetCute Box is, and how did you like decide on the name?
We kind of came up with just because we wanted to start some sort of business. We knew that during the pandemic in particular, we thought, what can we do that is gonna not only help us down the road to be financially independent and be able to work for ourselves, but more importantly, we were kind of biased to small business. especially during the pandemic. I had a few friends that went out of business and they lost their small business due to the, everything that happened in 2022 or 2020 rather. And then leading up to 2022, we ended up finalizing the plans that we worked on for 2 years. And that was creating some sort of subscription box. And we ended up landing on a subscription box that is kind of dedicated around creating and curating date night ideas for couples, but every item in there supports local business. So we don't, buy things on Amazon and put it in your box. We don't go to big corporations like, the Birch Boxes of the world and all this. And all those companies are great. I'm not bashing those membership services because I was a big fan, obviously, prior to me starting my own. But, you look at those companies and you get little samples of these big colognes and perfumes and makeup and it's expensive. I mean, just bottom line it is. And it's not really helping anybody except those large corporations. So we decided to kind of reach out to local businesses ourselves. We built up a nice Rolodex of all these cool items around the world from things like, places like Australia, UK, and then of course right here in the United States. And then we would just kind of create a theme around those items. And then we would package it together in a box. And that's what we send out to our members. And it's new every month. It's different every month. For example, like last month, you'd appreciate this because we're talking about rom-coms. But we took our own spin on dinner and a movie. So we had this local company from Nebraska that had this microwavable corn on the cob. So it's literally like corn on the cob, but you microwave it. So the way they package it, you put in the whole cob in the microwave and it pops into popcorn. Fantastic idea. And then, of course, we had some lady on Etsy built her own like popcorn, old school, red and white, those popcorn holders, those tubs. But they're kind of like the collapsible tiny ones like you saw in the 1980s. So we put those in the box along with the microwave popcorn. And then we even had a popcorn trivia, a movie popcorn trivia game. So you would get like different popcorn looking game cards. And each one was like a trivia to a new game or to a new movie rather. And then on top of that, we also included dice that was handmade, also from Etsy, from a different lady named, shout out Lindsay at Twisted Fork Jewelry. But she created this dice and it was 6 sides. You get 2 of them. So one dice was only for food. So it had like different, genres of food like seafood, Italian, barbecue, etc. And the other dice was movies. So it would be like rom-com, horror, etc. So if you didn't know what to do, you take the dice, you roll it. And then, you roll the dice. Oh, it's a rom-com and a barbecue night. All right, cool. So it kind of gives you, that's what we do every month. It's a different theme every month. And based off the items, based off the time of year, obviously we did that kind of like a Valentine's Day type of thing leading up to it. And then this month, depending on when you sign up, we did a little bit more romantic box for those couples. So March, we'll probably do something to launch spring or something like that. And then, of course, during the summer, it's more outdoor activities. So depending on the season and the time of day, or the time of month rather, we'll kind of curate it based off that as well. So that's kind of the idea in a nutshell. And the word meet cute just kind of made sense to us because we have a kind of interesting meet cute story. So that's the first thing that came to us. And I honestly, if being truthful, like I said earlier, my wife is the one that told me about MeetCute. So that's kind of her ideas. I thought of a couple ideas and she's like, that's too manly. We need to think of something cute. I was like, well, like what? And she's like, well, we should do it around like our story, our MeetCute. And I was like, wait, MeetCute? Hold on. And then, of course, we looked it up and Googled it. And there is a podcast that's called MeetCute, but there's no actually business that's called MeetCute. Which the podcast is great, actually. I talked to one of the co-founders when we launched, and hopefully we could do something in the future to collaborate because that would be easy. But yeah, there's no company that does what we do, which I thought was fascinating that there's no date night subscription box that supports local business. So we trademarked it and we have a patent pending on everything, and and that was only back in May. So we're about to hit our 1-year anniversary, in a couple months.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Such an interesting story. Have you thought about at some point doing like, I don't know if it's still even on, the Shark Tank thing. Is that still going?
Yeah, we did think about that. I actually have a partner of mine. She has this company called Wanna Date, and it's like date spread. Really fascinating. Where it's only a couple ingredients. It's kind of like peanut butter, but it's dates. So, but if people don't know, you could check it out. It's Wanna Date. And she was actually on Shark Tank and got picked up by Mark Cuban. So she told me the whole story. We actually included her in our box and occasionally do because her company is called Wanna Date. So, it fits some of her products with our box. And she was kind of telling me the whole process. And from what I gathered, we're just not there from like a revenue perspective where I even, like we're happy. I mean, this is all I do full time. So, I mean, we're making enough to support each other, but I don't know if I'm comfortable giving up a percentage quite yet. Just because, I could do it. I could afford to do it. And I just kind of want to grow it organically first. And then maybe a year down the road, 2 years down the road, we might try to do something. But those guys, I mean, they're sharks, right? The Shark Tank. They like to take that money. And I'm like, nah, back off, man. Not yet.
Yeah, it's true. I forget they take a percentage ownership and everything, and you just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it's still a relatively new company. You have a long time to grow and make it super profitable. And if anything, even if the people that do go on there that maybe they decide against an offer, they don't get one, it's still great exposure because I'm sure people are Googling like, what is this? I'm going to see.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I figured we'll kind of see how this year goes, and then that's definitely going to be, it's on the docket for sure. Yeah, it's a matter of getting the wife on national television. Well, we actually have our own podcast. So I have my personal podcast, and we have a MeetCute podcast where we talk about dating and ideas and give a relationship advice and stuff like that. And for her to get on there is very nerve-wracking. She's very introverted. So we'll see how she does on the Shark Tank. That'll be interesting.
She'll be like, I'll hold up the signs with the stats and you do all the talking.
Right. That's right. Yeah, because, we can't, being founders of a date night box, I can't do it by myself. I gotta bring the wife up there. But we are trying to be innovative as well. Like I have a lot of stuff going on. Like, of course we have memorabilia and apparel and stuff, but one thing I'm really excited about that we're probably going to announce on our 1 year anniversary that I've been working on for quite some time is a deck of cards, and it's called the MeetCute deck. Fancy name, I know, very creative. But it's going to be a 50 cards, and each card is going to be a date night, and we're going to give you creative date night ideas based off that. So we're going to sell that kind of separately in addition, but we're going to start doing things like that where we'll do an at-home edition, we'll do an outdoor activities one, and then a kids edition. So if you have kids, it'll kind of give you ideas to do things with kids. So that I plan to kind of launch and slowly bring out. So I'm hoping with that we'll kind of gain some more exposure. And really the idea is, I'm not a fan of a lot of subscription boxes, mainly because it's a lot of like samples and things like that. So we try not to do that, of course. But at the end of the day, I'm not crazy. I know people can't spend $30-$40 a month. Times are tough. So we figured, hey, let's not make a contract. So there's no contract with our boxes. You can cancel anytime. If you want to try it for 1 month and get rid of it, we don't charge you. Even if we build it and ship it out to you, we don't ask you to return it. We let you keep it. So we're very cool when it comes to stuff like that because I know what it's like to be on the other side. But also, too, I want to give people the option where if they just want to get some of our products without being involved in a membership, they could do that as well. So we're coming out with those things like date night deck, but we also do gift ideas. So like if you just want to pick up something, like we had so much business for Valentine's Day, like men and women just grabbing gifts for their spouse just for Valentine's Day. So we're able to do that as well, where you can custom create a message. When you first purchase the product, it'll say, hey, what do you want to say? And we'll give you a nice little cute note and put that in the box as well. So we do those options as well, not just memberships. So we're trying to be innovative when it comes to that as well.
Yeah, you're like appealing to people who have different like purchasing habits and like what they want. That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking at the website and you have like clothing, like you said, and other things. So it's really cool. This is such a neat thing you're doing. Congratulations on all your success in really a short time.
Thanks. Yeah. We're slowly growing. Eventually, I want to work hard enough to where I can get it in a couple of years where my wife and I could do this full time because we both have other jobs as well. So we're just kind of doing this on the side and doing what we can. But we're also creating the content, doing the website and all that. Obviously, as you know, it's a lot to carry. So we want to try to delegate and potentially hire some people down the road for social media managers and people to run our social, and that way we don't have to do that, and we could spend more time curating boxes, and because we make everything by hand too, as you notice from the website. So we're never gonna mass produce it. Like that's another reason why I'm not rushing to go to Shark Tank, because what I think makes our boxes unique versus like a Birchbox or BarkBox or all those big companies is it's not really personal. We handwrite messages for all of our members. And, once we get to the thousands, naturally, I know we're not going to be able to do that. I'm not ignorant when it comes to that. But for the time being, I think it's important that we make it as personable and special and unique because, we have a saying in our company, which is every relationship is special. So we think your box should be too. And I think a lot of companies, mainly mass big corporations, forget about stuff like that where, when you pay $40 a month or 50, 60, sometimes these things are $100 a month, you get this generic box that 1,000 other people got. Well, with our box, it's different wrapping, packaging, letters, stickers. I mean, you could literally, I clean my hands, but if I didn't, you could see my sweat going into the box, quite figuratively. But we do put all of our energy and time into that. And, you follow us on social media and you could see us actually build your box. And sometimes if you're open to it, we ask our members if we could tag them, and we tag you on social media because you could actually physically see how your box is being built on there. So yeah, it's a rarity. So we're going to try to keep that up as long as we can.
Well, here's to hoping that your side hustle becomes your full-time hustle. Yeah. And I'm sure it will.
Thank you. Applause, everybody. Appreciate it. Everyone listening.
Oh, so cool. Fancy. I like the sound effects.
Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. Enough about me. Pfft. No one wants to hear any more of that.
I'm sure they do.
But tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of what your goals are for your channel and your site and all that jazz.
Well, just have more people discover it somehow. It's a slow thing, like you start slow and it slowly builds. Like I just hit 2,000 Instagram followers. I was like, that's cool.
Hey,
and
that's
I hit
awesome.
1,500 on YouTube the other day, and I was like, that's cool.
That's great.
So, just growing and connecting with people, and just with like you're saying, and like the age of streaming. And then just like on Hallmark Channel in general and all these other networks, there's new ones that have come out recently. There's so many like made for TV, like rom-com movies. So it's kind of like just trying to get more cool people to chat with me. It's just just kind of a chill, fun side thing I do, but it's cool to like, sometimes I'll talk with someone, I'll be like, oh, that's so cool. I watch you on TV, So but cool. Yeah, it's just fun. And then people seem to enjoy hearing what their favorite actors have to say. So it's just fun and getting repeat guests. And I'm like, hey, it's nice talking to you again.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's the fun part about what we're able to do with these, right? As not only can you connect with people all over the country, but, I've had people on my show that are from like the UK and Alaska and Hawaii. And it's like so cool because I would never meet these people in person. Of course I would want to, but it's very difficult with scheduling and you can't really, unless you have like a massive Joe Rogan style studio, you can't really bring people to your house all the time. So it's kind of cool that we could do this type of thing virtually and connect. And I love building these bridges because I've said this before on my podcast where, I look at podcasting as if you're building a small community in a city, because, every city started from grass and dirt and trees. And then eventually you kind of build like a foundation of roads and bridges. And, now you have a place across the lake that is a mile long, and you were able to build a bridge and get to that lake and meet new people. And that's kind of how I look at social media is you're building these little like cities and communities, and you're able to kind of connect it with those bridges and build these new relationships that who knows, 10 years, 30 years down the road, it could be very profitable for everybody, both mentally and physically, so monetarily you can make some money, but also mentally too. I've learned so much just being on this podcast. I feel like I'm so profitable when it comes to that, figuratively speaking, where I've learned so much, I've been able to grow so much, and just having conversations, I feel like we don't do that enough now. And podcast has been very fascinating for me over the years. I've learned a ton. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Like just going up to someone randomly in like a store, it'd be weird to like just start talking with them. But then like when you're doing a podcast, all of a sudden you just like say whatever for like an hour, and
right.
it's just like an interesting way to converse with people. Like I
Yeah.
don't like technology, but I like technology, and this is the part of technology that I like.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, people are weird when it comes to interaction like that, right? And I don't know if it's, maybe it's the face-to-face aspect, or maybe it's because we've been so disconnected for so long, it's hard to kind of, take that leap again. Like, I don't know, I feel like when I was a kid, when I was in my teens, I was talking to everybody. Like a dude, I'd be pumping gas and I'd look over and, I'd see a guy and be like, hey, what's up, man? How was your day? Ah, it was shitty, man. It's Monday. Yeah, dude, I get it. All good, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like just kind of like shooting the shit type of conversation. But I feel like now if you do that, people think you're crazy. And maybe it's right. Maybe it's because like the last 2 decades, we've all been on our damn devices and we've just been disconnected from interaction that it kind of scares us because it's new, even though it's not. It's actually the oldest form of communication. But for some reason, we forgot that, it is the oldest and we need to get back to it. I don't know.
Interesting. Getting very deep here.
Super deep. Let's get closer to our mic so we can get deep with it.
By the way, what microphone do you have? It sounds amazing.
Oh, does it? Thanks. It's a pod mic by Rode. But yeah, Rode does a very good job. I have the Rode mic and then I have the Rodecaster Pro, which is where I can do all these soundboards and like, can you tell us a funny joke? Do you have like a quick knock joke or something?
Oh man, I'm like my Laffy Taffy days. What was a good one?
Yeah, what you got for us?
Hold on. I can't remember when I'm put on the spot.
I mainly want to use my soundboard to do this. So like, knock knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange, you're glad I didn't make you tell a joke?
There you go. That's perfect.
the
Oh my gosh,
crickets,
you have
yeah.
such a fancy device. That's super cool.
I'll send you what I got. It seems fancy, but it's I did a lot of research when I first started my podcast. I did my very first podcast, like episode 1, was on my phone on the voice memo app. And I used the little wired headset that comes with I think I had an Android at the time. And and I just talked into it. I didn't video it and I just talked about my day. I don't even remember. It's still out there somewhere on YouTube. Hopefully no one goes to watch it because it's awful. But yeah, that was my first episode. And then after like 100, I upgraded a little bit. And then now I'm almost at 200 episodes. And it's just, because I figured if you're going to like, I don't know, if you like to work out, get a gym membership, right? Buy some workout clothes. If you're going to take care of your lawn, get a nice lawnmower. Like, so I was like, I'm going to do this podcast. And I've done X amount of episodes. I deserve to kind of treat myself to this hobby, and I'm going to do it right. And I set a goal for myself once I hit a certain amount of subscribers and a couple sponsors that I was fortunate enough to get. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to reallocate these funds to that. So yeah, just set yourself some goals up and, upgrade when you're ready. But if you really like doing it, and it sounds like you do, and you're very good at it, and you're good at talking with people, especially strangers, which is like the key to a podcast. But, I figured just who cares? If you got $100 in your bank account, spend 80 of it. Who cares? Just do it. You only live once. You might as well spend the money on things that are actually important to you. We get caught up in like spending money on things that don't really matter. And then we end up like not using it or wasting it, like food. We spend all these, right? We go to these fancy dinners and we end up like taking leftovers. It goes in your fridge and you never eat it. It's like, that was $100. Spend $100 on a mic. At least you'll use that,
That's true because you have nothing to show for it. And the other, with food, unless you had a Taco Bell, you could have had like 100 tacos. Instead, you'd have one meal.
And by the way, every single one of them would be delicious.
That's the thing about fast food. Like, it's consistent. Every time I'm like, this tastes like it did the previous, 500 times, and it's great.
Yeah.
And it's cheap. It's not as cheap as it used to be, but if you can find a
No.
value menu, then it is cheap. So
That is weird, right? Like if you go to like Carrabba's, in Tampa, Florida, it might be different than the Carrabba's in Wisconsin. Different servers, different people, different food, even though the menus are the same and the food was the same. You ordered the same pasta or whatever, but it could be different. But yeah, if you go to fast food though, you're right. It's the same. A cheesy gordita crunch is the same no matter what location you go to with Taco Bell.
yeah, I don't know if you ever saw Founder, I think was the name, with Michael Keaton about McDonald's, and not all the McDonald's were the same as they were starting to, franchise and all that. So that's a side note.
right.
Good movie, not a rom-com, but it's good.
It is a great movie, and I'm a big Michael Keaton fan, so everyone needs to see that. I believe it's on Netflix. Everyone needs to check that out. Great movie.
I loved the last scene where he's looking in the mirror and you can just kind of see it on his face, kind of like just the thoughts and the wheels turning about like what he's done with his life. And then here comes that new wife, who wasn't his. And it's just like interesting. Great movie. But I have to get going in about 5 minutes.
Oh, sure.
I have an appointment. I don't want to cut this short because it's fun. No. We'll have to chat again. I'm sure we can talk about movies all day long.
Hell yeah. Let's do a strictly a movie episode one day.
We should. I watch so much stuff, like not romantic comedy wise. I watch lots of miniseries and things like that, but we could talk about all sorts of genres.
I love it. Yeah, that's perfect. No, it was good getting to know you a little bit. Let's definitely make this a round 2. And for at least my listeners, where can people find you, Betsie, and on social media, your podcast? Lay that out for the people so they can follow you.
Sure thing. Well, just Hallmark Happenings with an S. Some people forget the S, but there is an S there. It's not silent. Just Google that, Hallmark Happenings on Instagram. I think it's like youtube.com/Hallmark Happenings. And on Twitter, which I'm not super active on, but occasionally I am. It's like @podcast Hallmark. Facebook, it's like the same. I kept it try to, keep the same. So it's not like 30 different links or whatever with weird names. What are those called? Not taglines. Handle. Yeah, handle. That's the word.
Smart. Yeah, keep them the same.
That way there's some consistency. Hallmark Happenings was too long for Twitter, so that's why it's podcast Hallmark. But anyway, what about you? Where can everyone find MeetCute Box on the socials?
So they can go obviously to my page, which is at the Berardo, where you could find everything there, or you could just follow us everywhere at MeetCute Box. So Twitter, YouTube, podcasts, website, meetcutebox.com, Instagram, we're on TikTok, all that. Same thing, MeetCute Box everywhere. But so thanks. Appreciate that.
And I will, of course, when I promote this episode and everything, I'll include all the links so people can find everything with easy access. And of course, I'll email you and everything. But thank you for talking with me. Thank you for being so generous with your time. I can't wait to see what else is in store for MeetCute Box.
Thank you. And we'll definitely stay connected. So I appreciate you reaching out as well. So let's do this. Let's grow our podcast. Yeah.
Sure thing. That'd be fun. Well, thank you again. You're fun.
All right. You too, Betsie. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.